Good morning, lovers, laughers, lunars. We're out here at the Platte River Trail, Crane Meadows National Park, on the day of the new moon to celebrate this beautiful blessing called life. And got a couple ideas today. I first want to just talk about this movie I watched last weekend. It's been about a week since I saw it, so it's not fresh on my mind, but I seriously think everybody should watch it. It is new on Netflix, In Your Dreams. It's a kid's movie. Basically, the only thing I know about the production was that it wasn't made by AI. I think the director's name was Alex Wu. I looked it up after I watched it. But she's from Minnesota, I know that. The movie is based in Minnesota. It's about this family who... puppies are smelling something. It's about this family who lives in Minnetonka, and I guess the mom is going to get a new job, or the mom and dad had a band, but it's not doing well anymore, and the mom is going to get a new job in Duluth, which is a really important city for me. And the dad is like, oh, I don't want to move to Duluth. And so, like, I don't know, I guess they're, like, going to split up or something, and it's, like, causing tension in the family. And the kids find this book that, like, I don't know, they recite some chant, and it gives them the ability to lucid dream, and they can, like, lucid dream together. And that's what the movie's about, is kind of, like, learning what their dream mind, their subconscious mind is capable of, I guess. So, should we keep walking, babies? Usually I don't let them smell stuff for that long. I don't know what they're smelling. I probably should have paid attention. If it's not like other animals scat or anything, I don't usually care, but anyways. So yeah, the kids are like flying through their dreamland, and it's like, I guess, like I said, it's not fresh on my mind anymore, but they're in this dreamland that's kind of perfect, but not perfect. If they start to question it, it gets scary. Like, kind of think of Coraline, how it was like, perfect but creepy. And then so when they figure out it's like not real, they have to get past Nightmare is what they call, and it's a feminine deity. They call it Nightmare. You have to get past her, which is like this hurricane at the edge of your mind, which is like super scary, filled with your deepest fears. And then you have to just basically realize that it's, only in your head. And then you can get past it into the Sandman's lair, which is where, like, reality is created, I guess. And it's a masculine figure, kind of looks like Santa. And eventually, like, the kids are, like, split because their parents are going to split up. And the daughter wants to stay in Sandman's fake dream forever. And the kid's like, no, but this isn't real. Or the boy is like, no, but this isn't real. And so, like, they get split up, and I guess I'm not going to spoil the movie, but the I guess lesson I took away from it, well, one of them anyways, I always try and find something to disagree with. Come on, babies, I'm letting them do it again. See, I loved this movie. I'm just like, I loved that movie. It was really good, but I do try and find stuff to disagree with. Maybe that's the cynic in me. So there are a couple, like, depictions of, I guess, your mind, your subconscious, your dreams that didn't sit right with me. Felt kind of like, I don't know, not propaganda, but like, yeah, kind of propaganda. Anyway, I don't know. I guess it was probably, I'm being ignorant, and there was some sort of narrative that was being, pieced together. But anyways, the lesson I took away from it is that, like, the reality that we create together is more powerful, and I don't want to use the word powerful, more connected, I guess, than, any sort of isolated perception that we create for ourselves. I don't know. It's such a hard topic to talk about, so the vocabulary is gonna only do minimal justice of what I'm trying to convey here. But watch the movie. It was awesome. Come on, babies, let's keep going. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that was like, I don't know, relevant to what I want to talk about today. I don't want to spoil the movie, but I don't know, I guess. So the part of the movie that like didn't necessarily sit well with me was that, so in reality, when the daughter chose to stay in the lucid dream, she like slipped into a coma, which if you've like looked into astral projection, lucid dreaming type stuff, is actually a thing. Come on, baby Hawkeye. What's so smelly over here? I bet you there's tons of deers out in these woods. Sorry. So the daughter, she slips into a coma, and like the way that she gets out is she gets brought back to reality by her family, like hearing their voices, and the whole family actually is able to get in her dream through their love. It's like whoa, babies, check out that tree over there. Looks like it was struck by lightning. Let's go check that out. That is sweet. Look it. I bet it was. Come on. It definitely was. Check this out. Yo. This is a gift from Pikachu. Or Pikachu, who knows? Oh my god. There's a pack of surging sparks in this tree that was struck by sparks. That's legitness. You guys, let's open this. Hold on. We gotta find a place to open this. Come here, baby. Ophi, come here. Whoa. I'm tripping. I think I'm gonna prop my phone up on this like stump or something. Yeah, this is good. Check this out. And it's got an executor on it too, for the trees. All right, let's see. Oh, just like that. That's perfect. All right. Surging sparks. Platte River, just over the horizon. Pokemon Legends Arceus. Thank trees every day. Literally, because we're opening a pack of Pokemon cards made out of trees. Ooh. Shellos. Slack Off. Azelf. This is an awesome pack. Vigoroth. Registeel. Oh my god. Walrein. Magnezone. Reverse Hollow Oranguru. Reverse Hollow Phanpy. And Coslarigus. Law of the Underworld Electric. Oh my god. Oh my god. This pack is literally... Okay, so this is... I always get scared, like, opening these packs when I'm trying to make videos like this, because I'm, like, superstitious, and I always feel like the cards are gonna, it's like tarot cards. You're pulling cards that are relevant, I guess. I don't know. But this pack was super relevant. I don't think I have time to sit here and explain this, but if you know, you know. So yeah, what was I just talking about? The family went into the daughter's dream to save her, and I don't know. The reason I didn't really necessarily agree with it is because I feel like it kind of like it dissuades from the idea of lucid dreaming, which, I mean, in one hand, I guess, yeah, you definitely don't want to be like slipping into a coma, but I think what should have been clarified is that like life is a lucid dream, and like we get to decide our fate just as much as our like we create our reality just as much as reality is in front of us, I guess, if that makes sense. And the reason that card is perfect is because the other thing I wanted to talk about or like reference in this is so do you know, I talk about Stranger Things a lot because it's also super relevant, and but again, like there's depictions in that show that I don't necessarily agree with, but you gotta get your juice where you can. And so in, what is it, season 4 with Vecna, the curses and stuff, and running up the hill, the way that like it's portrayed in that movie is like, you know, Vecna is like time, kind of, there's a lot of representations, but like we take for granted time. It's like this abstract concept, but when you think about it in like terms of I'm trying to think of a sensitive example, but something that really puts in perspective of like the gravity of time, like this is a really weak example, but like when you're a kid waiting for like something that you really want, you know, like, you know, okay, yeah, this is a fine example. It's super lame, but I guess it does the purpose. So like you're saving up for a new video game console as a kid, and like, you know, when you're a kid, I don't know, depending on your background, there's no way to make money unless your parents are basically giving it to you. You like set up a lemonade stand or whatever. You got to be really you got to know what you're doing. Anyway, so say you make what, $20 a week, we'll be generous. So you're making that is really generous. Let's put it back. Let's say $5 a week, making $20 a month. So you got to save up for like I don't know, 5 or 6 months to actually get the console plus the game you want. When you're a kid, that like the concept of that can seem very like, I took way too long to explain that. You know, it just takes so long, and it's like it's like existential dread. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Like time is synonymous with existential dread in a way. Because like you know, we move through time, but depending on where you are, it's like, you know, it's kind of fixed, and a lot of that has to do with your perception. So to get back on track, you know how like the symptoms of Vecna are like the achy back, the headaches, you know, kind of general symptoms of aging, and you know, we've got this river that I'm looking at is just full of toxic farm runoff. Like we are poisoning ourselves and our planet. And then the other piece of that was like the mental health. All of them were going to the school shrink. And, you know, there's this scene where Max is in the office, and yeah, like she's just dealt with some seriously traumatic stuff. And I think the way that it portrays the shrink, trying to connect with her is real as fuck, because like obviously the shrink, I think that's probably not the correct word. The therapist, the school counselor, is, probably dealing with her own shit exponentially, because she's like 3 times the age of Max. But obviously, can only empathize with Max to the extent that, like, Max is capable of, opening up, I guess. And, like, it's so hard to do that because we don't give ourselves, like, the opportunity. It's like a build-up, right? That's why, well, there's a lot of reasons for the running up the hill thing, but that's like a direct metaphor. Throughout life, we're kind of like, we're doing that Sisyphus thing, but it doesn't have to be so, like, it doesn't have to be such like a strenuous thing. Like, you're not actually rolling a ball up your hill when you're building up to make that song, Running Up a Hill. Obviously there was a lot of emotions that went into it, but like the act of making the song, you start your day, you make a good cup of tea, you put on some tunes, wow, this beat is starting to feel real good, you start recording and you make the song and it feels good. It's like a build-up, it's a build-up for, it can be strenuous when you're working on things that that aren't making a song, trying to get healthy. If you're out of shape and you want to reacclimate your body, it, like, if, for example, if you're not used to drinking water, your body will literally reject the thing it needs to live. So it's like, it can be strenuous and a struggle, but it doesn't always have to be. And my point is that we don't give ourselves the opportunities to, or rather those opportunities to, get that build-up going are taken away from us. So, I mean, I want to talk about the government shutdown. I don't really want to talk about it, but just as an example, we were all hyped. We won we had really good election results a couple of weeks ago in terms of, Democrats winning. And then immediately we had the Democrat majority leader of the House, whatever the fuck his name is. I know his name, but he's not acting like, a representative of the people. He's acting like whoa, there is a huge bird up there. You can't see it, and I have my gloves on, so I can't zoom, but that is cool. I'm going to take this glove out so that I can zoom if that happens again. It was either a crane or an eagle. That was awesome. So what's my point here? I don't want to, like, actually talk about this stuff and get all pissed, but we have I guess, we have a responsibility. Did I drop my glove? No, I put it in my pocket. We have a responsibility, It's like, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country. That's a great start, but it's like, it kind of, it gives you that feeling of the existential dread, strenuous, like, what the fuck are you talking about, bro? Our country is an imperialistic nightmare. No justice on stolen land. What are you talking about? I mean, okay, I'm being, like, pissed again. Justifiably so, but I don't want to be pissed. I want to be something better than that. But so the real question should be, you know, I don't know. I don't know, but it's it goes back to that kind of thing where we focus on a version of hyper reality instead of the actual reality. I got expelled from MIT for my theory of actual reality, and you know, I'm still bent up over that, but that's a video for another day. Anyway, so here, let me move on and we'll come back. After I got done watching In Your Dreams, I went outside, and I don't do this. Like, I don't want to act like, I know I talk about the moon and stuff, and I talk about spiritual stuff. I think that maybe I should clarify, like, I'm not, you know, sitting, I don't know about, like, there are people who are way more intelligent about this stuff than I am. No more, keep up with it. Like, I barely know when the actual new moon and full moon is going to be until like a few days beforehand. I just like, I vibe it out. So I don't want to act like I'm out in my yard looking at this star app all the time, or if it just happened. I was on my phone looking for something to do, and I noticed it was a really starry night, so I pulled out my star app and I looked up, and it must have been a glitch actually, because or not a glitch, but I guess you could call it that. The star that I saw loaded, actually, I'm pretty sure is in the southern hemisphere. So I was seeing a star that was, oh goodness, oh, I'm not gonna get it. No. I was seeing a star that I was actually in like the other half of the night sky, or in the daytime sky, I guess. Anyway, the star was Zaorak, which is, I don't remember all the details now, but a star very many billion light years away. Maybe it's millions, I don't know. It's pretty far away. And it's a giant red star, so it's way bigger than our star, and it's sorry, there's like I get off topic here because now I'm just like thinking about ambient space music vibes and looking at the sun, but there's a point here. The star is, it means, the name of the star Zaorak means the boat in Arabic, and it's part of the constellation Eridanus, which is a river in the sky, but has been tied to mythological stories here on Earth, and is associated with the Baltic Sea, Atlantic Ocean, a bunch of different rivers up in kind of like the Nordic Sea. And one of the like primary stories is of I'm gonna get the names wrong, and I don't know all the names, but there's this Greek half demigod Phaedon who knew he was the son of God, or like he was the son of the sun, and the people didn't believe him, just mocked him. He was trying to get everybody to see that, you know, we're all lit, we can fly, and everybody's making fun of him. So the gods like granted him this chariot to like fly across the sky, and he's like, fuck yeah, I'm out of the gates, bitches. And he starts flying, and he gets all cocky, and crashes into the river Eridanus. And the river is like I guess I'm not an expert on this, and I'm again at the beginning of my, well, I don't know if I'm at the beginning of my journey anymore, but in terms of talking about it here and knowing what I'm talking about, I saw a YouTube video that I'll link that actually explains a lot of this really well. And the primary parts I want to talk about are like the references between like humanity and Earth, and then like hyper reality or actual reality. Out of context, that might not all make a lot of sense. But yeah, so he crashes into the Earth and or into the river, and the river is feminine, and all the rivers start like steaming up and crying, and they turn into poplar trees or pine trees, depending on the context or the origin, and then they turn into like amber balls, which is like in the Baltic Sea is the only place you can get amber. And I don't know, there's a lot of references there. Dragon Ball Z. Damn, I wish I had like it off the top of my head, but the old amber is, you know, the fossil that revives Aerodactyl in Pokemon. You know, it's like tied to the original kind of source of like, it's the One Piece. It's how we tell stories. It's how we relate to each other. And the bearer of that is this river. And how we choose to fly our ship through it, you know, with it, is determinant of whether or not we're going to be in a stark reality or a fluid reality. Then I guess, so go like, you know how I said there's like different origins and cultures to the story. Depending on whether you lived in, you know, the southern hemisphere or the northern hemisphere, made a huge difference. Because I don't know if I made it clear, but this is kind of like associated with like, I don't want to use the word worship of the sun, but respect of the sun, coexistence with the sun, mutual assuredness with the sun. And in the southern hemisphere, you know, the days are super long. Well, not all of the southern hemisphere, obviously, but in parts of the southern hemisphere, towards the equator, you know, you get the long days, but then in the poles, you get the really short days, and then like the months of pure day and pure night. So kind of like, if you think about the relationship that would create with life in general, you know, in the southern, I keep saying southern hemisphere, but where the days are longer and the seasons are less, Hawkeye's having a little tussle, and the seasons are more, I guess there aren't as many changing seasons. I don't know the word for that right now. It becomes less of a, you know, a thing. But where you're going through periods of month-long darkness, and then you're going through periods of month-long light, you know, it becomes a much more, not much more, but like, the way the video described it is it becomes like an actual drama of life and death, whereas, you know, where the days are more steady, the seasons are more steady, it's like every day is a rhythm where you can just kind of get into the flow of things. But when you're dealing with, you know, life and death every year, it becomes more of a, yeah, drama, I guess. And actually, which is funny, the word thespian comes from the first actor who was supposed to be playing another. He wasn't playing himself on stage, he was playing a character, and it actually was a tragedy. So I don't know, food for thought. That is relevant. And I guess the reason why this is important is bringing it back into, the government shutdown, the Affordable Care Act, the president building a ballroom. Those are all okay, the government shutdown and the Affordable Care Act are we have like a hyper reality, an actual reality, and then like the hyper actual reality. And the government shutdown and the Affordable Care Act would be like the hyper actual reality, where it's like the manipulation and distortion that actually affects people's lives. But then like, this isn't entirely true, because obviously, there's taxpayer money, and it's a different dynamic when the fucking president is doing it. But like, building a ballroom on your house is basically akin to, I don't know, fucking Travis Scott building a fucking ballroom in his house. I don't know. It doesn't actually matter. And I'm being not as... I know there's much more to that. Like, it does matter. It very much matters. But in terms of how we live our lives day to day, I'm trying to get to a point here. I guess to kind of stem on the social media, Twitter thing, how we consume that information. When we're on that website, like, and no hate, like, this is totally valid. I see tweets from my mutuals where they're just like, I get on here and just type out whatever I want. And like, I'm just straight up lying to you guys sometimes. And, there are people who get on there and, you'll read through stuff, and it can seriously alter the perception of your reality depending on how much of a grain of salt you give the tweets that you're reading. And then on that same hand, we have politicians just straight up lying, straight up giving, false talk. They are literally trained as politicians to speak to us in a way as if we are incapable of critical thinking. It's like side speak. I can't remember the actual term, but yeah, it's utter bullshit. And then you'll see like, Democrats do it in a way like, there are Democrats still fucking talking about the ballroom. Like, yes, it is a big deal, but like, you are people who are in the highest positions of power in our country, and we have kids breaking down the problems like with sincere critical accuracy, and we have elected officials, just tweeting out mind-numbing bickering and unqualified rhetoric. So, to have us as a public focused on all of those things constantly, at the same time of constantly having our wages slashed, constantly having prices of things going up, constantly having the threat of violence looming over our heads. It's so many different types of warfare wrapped up all into one, being committed against us by capitalist elites. And the way I want to kind of bring this into all of what do we do about it? How do, I think that the phrase waking up is a really good general way to say this, like the people are waking up. We're all on our own journeys, but we all share the same spirit. I've said that before. So while people have different cognitive and physical abilities, we all have the same tap in. So you'll see really just profound miracles happening. Or maybe you shouldn't use the word miracles, because it's not a miracle. It's just actual reality of people connecting cross culture, cross language, and then also with people and our world. Like you see, or animals interacting with other species of animals. Whoa, fairy zone. Okay, you guys are literally walking in it, though. I'm pretty sure we have casualties. See, that would be an example. Okay, that would be an example of cross-species interaction that would have been maybe carried out a little better. I got way too excited. I should have been more careful, and they're doing it again. Okay, maybe you're supposed to lead by example. Damn, I gotta get my act together. Anyways, so yeah, you just see these and that's what we should be focusing on. The news should be filled up with stories about that, not stories about why I'm not even gonna go there, but the fact that our government can be actively trying to cover up a ecological and humanitarian crisis, I don't even know what to call it, under the guise of national security to protect pedophiles and billionaires is okay. So that's why we got to fix this. That's why we got to start living our lives for us instead of them. And we've got to start choosing our focus. How to wake up. It doesn't make, I'm sure I'm gonna listen back to this video and think, damn, I kind of made a little bit of sense there. But then somebody else is gonna get 30 seconds into this and stop listening because it's just not gonna make any sense at all. And that sucks. But it is what it is. So I think I've thought about this. The way that I view it is that because this could be an hour-long video, multiple hour-long video, talking about the different types of subliminal messaging and propaganda that we're subjected to, and what types of personalities that creates. But on the actual level of normal, people who just want to chill and vibe and live a life and holy shit, this is, what I remember, babies, no more grass. I know, I'm getting thirsty too. I've been drinking coffee this morning, but no water. The way I remember it as a kid is, we didn't have a lot. I had, struggles, personal family struggles. Everybody has their shit. And I remember through it all, as I was in about, kindergarten and first grade and stuff, the pictures of those little pamphlets that, teach you how to ride the bus, or, the learning how to go to school. You get those picture books with the illustrations, and Like, you have those fun activities at sea. I told him. He's eating the grass and he's throwing up. Talk about actual reality. We may see a crane out here at the observatory. Rather than vomit. Are you good, bro? Yum. Yeah, I'm sorry. Holy goon. And he'll do it again. What was I saying? Yeah, so, you know, you remember, like, and we had, like, the kids' illustrated books they would pass out around in class, and, you know, we would read stories as a class and do art projects, and, you know, everything was just, like, chill. Like, I mean, we lived in an apartment, and I didn't have, like, you know, there we go. That's an eagle. No, it's not. It's a crane. Sorry. Oh, and I lost it. Where'd it go? Yeah, it's definitely a crane. Right? Yeah. Definitely a crane. And I'm looking at it, not filming it. I'm sorry. A blue heron, rather. Blue heron. So I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Do you remember that, like, kindergarten, first and second grade? Oh, there is swans out there too. That's what it looks like. See those little white birds on top of the water? Sweet. And I mean, I feel lucky because I got a good few years of public education before shit started hitting the fan, I guess. Not that it wasn't already, but depending on when you were going to school, this might not even apply to you, and you still might not know what I'm talking about. But yeah, to keep it moving, there was a couple good years I remember of, like, you know, number 2 pencils and folders and getting school supplies and, you know, getting excited about getting your school list, back to school, backpack, lunchbox, let's go. But then, and I didn't know it at the time, but I'm pretty sure it was the housing crisis, housing market crash. You know, 9/11 happened, and the adults started getting fucking stressed, and you know, pop culture, hyper reality became more important than the stories that we were sharing with each other as communities. And not that, like, okay, progress is being made on such a level in terms of our, like, open-mindedness, and that's what I mean. We're waking up. The paradigm shift is here, but we've had to endure, you know, so much suppression, oppression through it. This is not new. It didn't happen in the 2008 crash. It's been happening. Imperialism is ancient, but I just mean from my own perspective, like, I remember there was a couple good years of teachers and adults being happy. And of course, throughout high school, you know, we have good moments. There are teachers who were able to do their best still, and we had good times, but it just gradually, you know, shit was stressful and times were tough. I was hungry. I went to school about second grade is, I think, when it started declining. In my third grade, I went to a different school, and their art program got shut down due to funding. And then luckily I didn't go there. I went back to Sauk Rapids for the rest of my schooling. But I know at one point the high school's art program in Sauk Rapids got shut down for a little while. As they're funding sports, because that can get advertisements and stuff, even though art is, great, but sure, let's go give kids concussions. Anyways, and so you're at school and you're forced to go there, and you're with people who are stressed, and your only escape is the TV, where they're playing advertisements for companies who are causing this stuff. And then you kind of just get I said the word cognitive dissonance yesterday. It's a really hard word to explain, but because it can show up in so many different ways. But basically, an example of cognitive dissonance would be like, yeah, you're watching these advertisements as a kid on your cartoon channel. They're playing an advertisement for Nestle, Nesquik. Drink your Nesquik, you're gonna go strong and ball with all the other kids having a good time with bright colors, and we're actually poisoning all the water in the world and killing people and making it so that your children will never actually be able to live a healthy life. But Nestle, so like you're seeing that as a kid and you're like, oh yeah, fine, that's good. But in reality, it's not. Oh my goodness, hello chipmunk. Hello little baby, are you gonna come out and say hi? Why'd you come over here? That was very brave of you. It came out from that tree and then just stopped in the grass right there. I don't know what it's doing. Here it is. I don't think it's gonna show up on camera because it's too camouflaged. But I see you. There, you saw him move a little bit. No, he's gone. Okay. And that can, that's for so many different types of companies. It's another example of that would be like, the Nike commercials. Just do it. Like, just do what, motherfucker? Like, I can't. You think I don't want to go play those sports? Yeah, sorry, my mom doesn't have $1,500 to front for me to get some equipment I'm gonna outgrow in 2 months. And she can't drive me to, practices. Like, what the fuck just do what, motherfucker? Just do what? So you're at the whole time you're thinking like, yeah, you're right, just do it. But then you actually can't. So it's like this cognitive dissonance. And again, it can show up in so many different types of ways. So the waking up from it is like it, all of that can kind of funnel into, those feelings of hyper aging that I was talking about in Stranger Things, and then culminating into a not being able to even know how to think through it. Like your actual reality becomes a version, a combination of this like hyper reality and hyper actual reality, while your actual reality, your yourself, the reality that is here is ignored or taken for granted or displaced. And the way that Max got through it is like it's hard. It's so hard. Like her friends were literally screaming at her, Max, come back. But like what was the ultimate like release was the combination of her friends being there for her and that song, that like that string theory bliss that unlocks in your mind when you know everything's going to be okay, when you're inspired. You got to like hold on to that, and it'll be enough to keep you brave through like the parts of reality where you don't have like the distraction, because that's why it works, right? You know, the life and death drama, we don't want to actually deal with that, because well, I think we do want to deal with that. It's just the ways that have been given to us for dealing with that are scary. The healthcare system is broken. Our education system is broken. We don't have a plan to like buying a first-time house is a joke. Like there's no way. Like, what do you mean? Like, how are we supposed to deal with that in actual reality? The hyper reality says I should be living in a skyscraper in New York, overlooking the bridge on my MacBook with my feet kicked up, with no other life around me, scrolling on the internet while I look at stocks. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like this bullshit syndrome that we have to break free from. And yeah, we don't have the answers. We do, actually. We do have the answers because we've been dealing with this for so long, and there are brilliant people all over the world who have figured this out and who are talking about it on a daily basis with the people they love. And so the more we do that, the better. And it just is, it's instead of Cepheus rolling a ball up a hill, it would, be like an acorn floating down a river. So yeah, I mean, oh, let's leave that. That's not ours. That's why we love Pokemon so much. Because it is a hyper reality. Like, I think, for a lot of us, the Pokemon community, the energy on, Twitter or wherever it is that you connect with people can become more gravitational in their lives than, even their own health. And that's such a conundrum, because the reason it is because ultimately what we're doing with those communities is the goal. It's just that outside of that goal, it's fragmented and there aren't opportunities to complete it. Hope he's taking a smoothie. So like, that's what I was kind of trying to explain with like the fast travel resets and shiny hunting. It's like actual reality is a matter of us, as a collective, fast travel resetting in our loved ones over and over again until, the game either just gets shut off or, like, and if Pokemon released a shitty game that nobody wanted to play and they ruined their legacy, then, that would be it. If we nuke our planet, that'll be it. If we let AI become consciousness, that'll be it. But if we have fun and we create connections and stories and art to share, and the lore brings us closer to each other and is warm and feels good, then we're going to make a new game, and it's going to be better than the game that we made last time, because we're going to have those shared experiences to build on, and it's just going to So like, again, I mean, if we stopped building bombs for 3 years, global healthcare, food inequality, and education would be solved. A lot of the companies every day that we, consume products through are either owned or contracted by either military defense contractors, companies, or intelligence companies, agencies. And that's only going to get worse if we don't hard stop and say this isn't okay anymore. And I know it's so overwhelming to think of it like that. And so I think the best way is, once you're, kind of aware of your priorities and that bliss that is released, that Patronus charm feeling, that when you see the glow, holding on to that and learning how to find that in more ways is the best thing that you can do. And so it's okay if you make mistakes. Like, I bought Oreos to give out for Halloween, but they are violating planetary and human rights because of their palm oil production, and which is actually, linked back to that philosophical, mythological story. If you use the example of yes, we are gods, we are half gods, we are the image of the sun in the world, the divine feminine. We can really do great things with that, but if we, assault the world, if we degrade the world, if we disregard it, then, oh, jeez, you guys, babies. Case in point, we're going to be having a nose full of doo-doo, literally, because we're going to have to reincarnate as flies to clean up after ourselves. I'm sorry. I know I get so harsh and and it's probably stressful, but I'm passionate. All right. We're at an hour. I have found some really wonderful music lately. So I will leave you with the song I've been listening to lately. Minutia by Bill Dixon and MTT. Great song. Good vibes. Let's leave that. And you see that nest up there? That is an eagle's nest. And they come back there every year. I don't know if they're there now. But Hawkeye, Opie, and GastroCam wish you a wonderful LAIC weekend. Laugh, love, live, always in celebration.